So today and tomorrow, 2 days, we'll be finishing up with this OOPS concept with all mostly asked interview questions, and then from day after tomorrow onwards, we'll be starting with projects. Okay, so we have learned enough that we can build some cool projects. Last today video which I have shared about libraries, if you watch that, from that onwards you'll be able to build projects. So we'll try to spend around 10 days just to build projects, different projects using different libraries, try to get our hands dirty using those libraries. So what we are going to see today is the next concept of OOPS. We are going to see polymorphism, and we are going to see about encapsulation. So I'll tell you simple definitions, and then we will write some code, how it can be implemented. That is what we will be seeing. Okay. So continuation of OOPS. Okay, so we have discussed about inheritance. Inheritance basically means that extracting some properties from a base class into the derived class or the child class, so that we should not repeat the code, keep on writing the same code, right? Whatever common properties are there, that we can just extract it and keep it in the base class, and then we can use it directly inside our derived classes. That is the concept of inheritance. We'll use it many times. Okay. Other concepts of OOPS, what are there, right? They stand on this inheritance. You have to understand that first. So other concepts, whatever are there, you will see everywhere. First of all, we are using inheritance, and then other concepts are coming into picture. Okay. So what we are going to see first of all is polymorphism, the second pillar of OOP. What is this polymorphism? Okay, and then when we will write the code, right, you will see that it is using again inheritance. So what I am trying to tell you is to implement data abstraction, then polymorphism, as well as one more is there, that is encapsulation. These all three, you will notice, all these three will use inheritance. So you must know first of all inheritance before learning this. You will see that all these three are using inheritance. So you must know inheritance first of all. Without inheritance, these will not be clear. So let's try to understand what is polymorphism. We will break this word into two parts. Okay. Everyone will do this, but we are going to do it in a special way. Okay, so we'll break it into two parts. I think you must have already heard this from many places, that this word basically poly means many, morphism basically means forms. Okay, forms means what? Avatar type. Okay, for example, there is only one god, but many forms, many avatars, or many forms of that particular word. That is called as polymorphism. Okay, so this will be a definition to give whenever someone asks. But how it is actually implemented? How polymorphism is implemented in code? How it is implemented? First, if anyone asks you like what is polymorphism? Polymorphism basically stands for many forms. Okay. The next point should be the way polymorphism is implemented is with the help of these two concepts, which is called as method overloading and method overriding. What these concepts are, we will see. Overriding. Okay, so these two concepts are used in order to implement polymorphism. Polymorphism is just a concept, but in order to basically write some code using polymorphism concept, we'll have to use these two concepts, and for that we have to first of all know these two concepts. What is method overloading and what is method overriding? I'll tell you also types of polymorphism. These are most commonly asked questions in interviews. First of all, what is polymorphism? What are the different types of polymorphism? There are two types of polymorphism. One is called as compile time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism. Sorry if I made some typo mistake. Okay. And second one is runtime polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism. Okay, whatever it is. This is also called as static polymorphism. Static polymorphism. This is also called as dynamic polymorphism. So this is all some theory part, but it's very important from an interview perspective. I'll tell you the understanding part also of it, how exactly it is, how does it works and all those kind of stuff, to make your concepts more better or to make your concepts more clear. But these are more theory important questions which will be asked in interviews lot many places. Okay. First one, what is polymorphism? Second one, many simple example of a polymorphism would be God, right? Many forms are there. So how this polymorphism can be written using code, how it can be implemented with the help of two very important concepts, that is method overloading and method overriding. Okay, then what are the different types of polymorphism that are available? Different types of polymorphism that are available is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism, also called as static polymorphism and dynamic polymorphism. So these two what are there, right? These two ways are the ways through which you can implement polymorphism, right? And these two are types of polymorphism. So method overloading is basically a type of compile time polymorphism. Method overloading is a type of compile time polymorphism. Method overriding is a type of runtime polymorphism. I repeat this very important point. Method overloading is basically a type of compile time polymorphism. So method overloading is a concept which is used to implement polymorphism, and it is basically falls under this category of compile time polymorphism. What is method overriding? Method overriding is basically a concept which falls under the category of runtime polymorphism. What exactly is this method overloading and what exactly is this method overriding? We'll see. Okay, but just understand in which category they fall. Method overloading is compile time polymorphism, method overriding is runtime polymorphism. I hope this much is clear. Now what is this first of all compile time polymorphism and what is this runtime polymorphism? What are these two words first of all? So compile time polymorphism basically means that method means what? Can someone tell me method means what? Method means what? Hello? You are there or no? Method means what? Hey, able to hear me at least or no? Just tell me, at least speak me why you are not speaking. Hello? Sridhar, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What is the method means what? You don't know what is the method, huh? What are you doing in the noobs class? Why are you sitting in this class itself if you don't know what is a method? And if you all don't want to answer, then why you all sit for online class? You all could have saw recorded itself, right? There is no one to ask question also there. Simply you have to just sit and watch. Why do you sit for online class then? Online class you should only sit when you want to interact, or else you should not sit online class. You should go and watch recorded. That is a much better option for you available. What is a method? Seriously, you all don't know what is a method?
A particular procedure.
No, no, no,
A
no.
particular procedure.
What you told, Prakash, is completely right. One particular procedure, but I am talking in terms of this one. Oops. In terms of oops, what is a method? In general, it is a particular procedure. What you told is right. In terms of oops, method means what? So what you did in the class where I thought about what is a class, what is the object. In class, what will be there also I told you. What will be there inside a class?
Values and functions.
Values and functions. Values. What is the another name for function? In class you call it functions or you call it as something else?
Edit.
Sorry, I did not hear what you told. Can someone tell me what will be there inside a class?
Variables, functions.
What is it called as functions in class? I have told this so many times.
Attributes.
Attributes. Variables are called as attributes and functions are called as
Behavior.
behavior. Another name. Another name of function. See, when you are talking about oops, right, you will have to use these words. I told you already, here properly I had explained what a property. See here, I have told here what is there inside a class. Variables and functions are there inside a class. What is a variable also called as attributes, properties. What is function called as method? I did not tell you what is a method. You all are not able to answer what is a method, then what's the point of sitting till oops? If you don't know that method is nothing but a function itself. So many times I have told that what function is basically the name that is given in normal words, but we call it as method in oops concept. We also call it as behavior in oops concept. If you don't know this fundamental basic, then why are you sitting for this class? You should not be sitting, you should go and watch those recorded lectures again one time and revise and make your concept first of all basics clear. And if you are not understanding anything, I think you should ask. But if you don't know what is a method, it feels very silly. So, compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. So, method is nothing but a function. Another name of function is called as method. Why do you call it as method? A function that is created inside a class is called as a method. Same, it's a function itself. Using def itself, you will create that function. Only difference is that this function is written inside a class, so it is called as a method. Another name that is given, method overloading. That means function overloading, function overriding. Same, these concepts are same. Function overloading and method overloading is one and the same. So what will happen here is, this function will be basically, the compiler will understand the function during the compile time itself. You know that compile time basically means that when your program is getting converted to binary. Runtime is when your program is running, when you will get the output, when you're printing something on the terminal and all those things will happen. All those things are runtime. Compile time is when it is getting converted to binary. In C you saw, right, how it gets converted to binary. First of all, when you type that command gcc, and after getting converted to binary you type this command ./a.out or a.exe, and that is how it will get it will run the program, right? So these are two steps: first compile the program and then run the program. In Python also these two steps happen, but you run the file only once, but internally these two steps happen. So what is compile time polymorphism? Compile time polymorphism basically is a type of polymorphism which is also called as static polymorphism, where the compiler will basically know which function has to be executed. Compiler will basically know which function or which method has to be executed or it has to run. And runtime polymorphism or dynamic polymorphism is basically a type of polymorphism in which the compiler will basically not know during the compile time. During the compile time it will never understand which function has to be executed, but it will understand that which function to be executed during runtime. Runtime means what? Not when it got converted to binary. After getting converted to binary, when you will execute the binary file, and that is when the program will start running, that time it will understand. During compile time all the memory allocation all will happen. So first of all you compile the program. You have seen in the first class itself I have showed two steps will happen: compile the program and then run the program. During compile time all the memory will be allocated for all the variables, which variables are using, how many variables you have used, all those will be allocated. During runtime you will get the output. It will start, during runtime is the procedure where it will start executing the program. Compile time it will go through the program, allocates all the memory, check if any errors are there, and it will display. So during compile time itself it will understand what is the function to which function has to be executed. During runtime, type of polymorphism in which during it will never understand what type of function to be executed until runtime. Until runtime it will never understand what type of function has to be executed. So this is basically called as compile time and runtime polymorphism. Very important question in terms of interview perspective. Static polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. What is used to basically implement compile time polymorphism? Method overloading. Method overloading is used to implement compile time polymorphism. Then what is used to implement runtime polymorphism? What is an example for runtime polymorphism? Method overriding. What is an example for compile time polymorphism? Method overloading. So the types of questions which will be expected here is what is polymorphism, how it is implemented using method overloading and method overriding. What are the types of polymorphism? Compile time polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. What is compile time polymorphism? A type of polymorphism in which the compiler will understand which function has to be executed during the compile time itself. It is also called a static polymorphism, and method overloading is used is an example for compile time polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism is basically a type of polymorphism in which the compiler will not understand which function to be executed during the compile time, rather it will understand during the runtime. It is also called as dynamic polymorphism, and method overriding is the best example for dynamic polymorphism. This is all the theory part. Now theoretically you must have understood this. Theoretically you must have by hearted also all this kind of stuff. Let's look at some practical stuff. How these things will be really implemented, how coding is done for this kind of stuff. So we'll create a class as it is because we are dealing with OOP, so there is no question itself. We are not going to create class. So let's do one thing. This time let's create a human being class. Human being class. Then if you want to pass, if you don't want to write anything, you can write pass. Okay, just for some time being you don't want to write anything inside this class, or you have created a function and you don't want to write anything inside that function, you can write class pass. Okay, then it will not throw an error. Then I'll create two classes, male, and I'll create one more class which is female. Let's create these two classes. Okay, so you already know why I have created male, and I could have created only male class, I could have created only female class. If I had to basically write some related to males, then I could have created only male class. If I want to create only females, I could have only created female class. But I basically created a general class which is human beings, where male and female both will categories will lie into. Why? Because both male and female have some common properties which I can put it inside human being class. So I created a general class which is human beings, and then I created male and female class, and I will say that male class will inherit human being class. I think last class we have done this lot many times. Female class will also inherit human being class. Very simple. Okay, so let's write some standard properties that are available, common properties that are available between this one, human beings, and this one. I'll create a constructor here. We have already done this lot many times. So self is the keyword first. Okay, and maybe it will accept some parameter, like maybe let's say name, age, it will accept. Okay, and it will assign it to the object self dot name of this particular human being is equal to name. This we have done it. I think you must be completely knowing this. One of the class we have done this lot many times. Self dot age, assigning whatever name will be coming to basically this object which is human, which is the object of this human being class. Maybe I can write some more functions here. Def both will eat, so I'll write one function. Print, I'll say f string self dot name. Self dot name is eating. Okay, nothing much difficult here to understand. Very simple. Okay, self dot name means what? This object here, whatever name and age came, right, we assigned it to this particular object, right, that is self. Now you already know in the last class we have discussed. Now these all names and age is basically there inside this object. So I am telling it to print self dot name. Self dot name, whatever name is there, that you print. Okay, and that name is eating. Anuj is eating, something like that it will print. So eating is a common property for both human beings, males and females, right? So basically I wrote it eating here, and some properties I have assigned here. Okay, so I have used attributes as well as functions. Now let's create some more functions here. Let's say hair length. So let me create def one more init function, and I'll accept a parameter here, hair length. Okay, so maybe for these two people it will be different. So I'll just say self dot hair length. Whatever you want you can create. Okay, here I am not restricting you to anything here. My whatever in my mind is coming, I am creating. Okay, created a constructor here. Let's create one more thing. What females and males have is, we can do something like male, right? Let's not write this one. Let's not write an init constructor there. Let's write maybe some function which is related to males. Maybe what we can write is clothes. Now I know both male and female are almost wearing same clothes nowadays, but it's fine. I'll take it as a differentiating factor. Okay, that is a difference between these two. I will just consider. Okay, clothes. Let's say clothes, and maybe it will print I am wearing male clothes. Perfect. Let's write it for female also. Def maybe some clothes, some random clothes, male clothes. Let's create this function as male clothes. Female clothes. Print I am wearing female clothes. Now can someone tell me how to create an object of a human being class? We have three classes here. How to create an object of a human being class? Can someone tell me? If you don't want to tell, say I don't know. At least I'll write.
Human being equal to
Human beings. Human beings. Okay. You mean to say human
equal
being?
to
Human being equal to
human being function.
human being, something like this. But it is accepting some parameters here because there is a init here. I have already told init is there. So you know that init
That
is there.
function.
That you will pass some parameters from here. Correct?
Yes.
Let's create a Gautam. Something like this. Okay. Now print. If I do human being dot, maybe we can call some functions like we have eat, so let me call eat. It should work. There should be no much problem with this. Eat function is there, so I'll just call it eat function. npm python py, and yes, I think we are getting Gautam is eating, so that's it. Gautam is eating, that is what has to be printed. That is what is getting printed. No, sorry, something else. Oh, sorry, print. I'm saying what? Sorry, I had to call the function. There is no print there. Okay, just call the function on this object, and this function is getting executed. Nothing much thing. If you have sat the classes, I think this is so common. Let's create an object for a female class. Female class. Should we pass these parameters here for the female class?
No.
Yes or no? No. Why? No init constructor is there in female class.
Go.
If there could be init constructor in female class, then we could have passed. But no, we don't need to pass. Now, how can I call from female class? I have created an object of female class. How many functions are there inside female class? Only one. That is nothing but female dot female clothes. Only one function is there. Let's try to print this function, and something is going wrong. Accepts two parameters. Okay. So let's uncomment this. Sorry. Okay. And let's say I am eating here. Okay. For simplicity, I'll just tell you what is this. I am eating. Okay. I am not doing anything else. Just remove this code and just saying I am eating. Okay. So let's try to run this one, and I am getting this one, which is I am wearing female clothes. Looks good. Nothing much difficult. Female, female, female clothes. So what if I want to call this eat function? I can call it female dot eat. Why I'll call it? Because here it will first of all go and search eat function inside this class female. Is there eat function inside female class? Yes or no? Is there eat function inside female
there.
class? Not there. Not there, then it will go and check whether it is inheriting or what something. So it will go and check here. It will understand that oh, it is inheriting human being class. So let me go and check if there is a eat function in human being class at least. It will go to human being class, the way who has from where it has inherited. It will go and check in human being class eat function is there or not. Is it there?
Yes.
It's there. That means it will execute that function, and that is how you got the output. Now what is the role of polymorphism here? Polymorphism may first what we are going to see is method overloading. Polymorphism is implemented itself using these two concepts, right? Method overloading and method overriding. So first we'll see what is method overloading, and then we'll see what is method overriding. Method overloading. Okay, so what it basically means that it is nothing but two or more functions which have same name. Two or more functions which have same name, exactly same name, but differ in number of parameters, differ in number of parameters. This is called as method overloading. Two or more functions which are having same name but they're different with the number of parameters. Okay, so what are you saying with that basically? So let's say that create a class. Okay, let's say we create a calculator class. Okay, simple calculator class. Inside this I am creating some functions. Okay, so I will create one function add. So what it will do, it will accept some parameters a comma b and it will add two values and it will return a plus b. Okay, very simple. So how to create the calculator object? So calculator, come on, calculator like this is equal to calc, something like this. Object created. How to call this function? Calc. Call this function calc dot add. Call this function add. Pass the 2 and 2 comma 2 because here this add function is accepting two parameters a and b. So I will pass two values a and b and it will print whatever it is returning. So whatever it is returning, I can store it in some variable also. Right now I will just say print. Whatever it is returning, print that. So it will print takes okay, sorry, I forgot the self here. Self is a default one, right? I have already told. So answer is 4. Very simple. Now in normal calculator, let's take an example of normal calculator. Whenever you want to add any two numbers, right? Is it sure that you will add only two numbers, or there is a chance that you might add three numbers also? You might add four numbers also. You might add five numbers also. I hope you understood my problem statement. Will you do only 2 plus 2? Will you do only 5 plus 5? That means only two numbers you will add inside your calculator. Or the user, whoever is using the calculator, he might add more numbers also.
More numbers.
More numbers also he might add. Correct. So you are understanding one thing. The number of parameters here is not fixed.
Yes.
If two numbers are there, then only two a and b I will write. But if three numbers are there to add, then I have to write a comma b comma c. If four numbers are there, I have to write a comma b comma c comma d. Maybe four numbers like this. But number of parameters are not fixed. No. That time what you will do? So that time what we can do is you can use method overloading. So what you can say it says if user is passing only two parameters, then call this function. If user is basically passing only two parameters, then basically call this function. What is method overloading definition? Two or more functions which are having same name but differ in number of parameters. So I'll do def same name as this function. Two or more functions which are having same name but differ in number of parameters. Self a I'll write, b I'll write, c I'll write. Now, and I'll say return a plus b plus c. Very simple. So I'll create one more function, def add itself, again same name, abcd, return a plus b plus c plus d. Very simple. You got the point. This is actually called as, this concept is method called as method overloading, and it is an example for compile time polymorphism. So when you create an object, right, when you create this object, right, and you're calling this add function, I told you, right, compile time polymorphism means compiler will know which function to execute. Yes, this is what I mean. When you created this object, right, the compiler knows that we have to call a function which is add, which is present inside this class calculator. How will it understand here? Object dot add. Whenever you do object dot add, right, it will go and search inside the object. This object calc is an object of which class? Calculator class. It will go to calculator class. It will search if there is an add function. Yes, there is an add function. So it knows during compile time itself that we have to execute this function which is add. It knows during compile time. But what if it is something like this? What if I told calc.eat? Is eat function available in calculator class?
No, not there.
Not there. So where it will go and check now? If it is not there? If it is not there, where it will go and check? I showed no here.
Yes, sir.
it will go and check whether it is there in inherited class or not. Its parent class में है क्या नहीं देखेगा वो. Whether it is inheriting some class, this calculator class, whether it is inheriting some other class. It is inheriting or no?
No.
No, it is not inheriting. So it will not go and check other classes also. Why? Because it is not inheriting only. If it could have been inherited some class, then it could have went and checked whether that function is available in inherited derived class or not. Sorry, base class or not, parent class or not. If it is there, it will execute that. So if the function is there in parent class, right, then it will not understand during compile time which function to execute. It will understand during runtime, and that is an example for method overriding. See here, if whichever function you are calling on this particular object, if that function is available inside this class itself, great. If that function is not available in this class, it will go and check in parent class. Parent class mein hai. That is somewhere the concept of method overriding will come. For now, right now you should understand method overloading. Method overloading means what? Simple terms में two or more functions which are having same name but which differ in the number of parameters. Why they differ in number of parameters? Why they should differ also? Because simple example, you take calculator, sometimes you don't know that number of parameters are fixed. Not every time the number of parameters are fixed to a function. For example, in doing a sum calculation, you may enter 2 plus 2 also, you may enter 2 plus 2 plus 2 also, you may enter 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 also, 4 parameters also, you may enter 5 parameters also. That time what we can do is, we can use the concept of method overriding, where you create the functions, same functions you create, same function name you write, but you basically change the number of parameters. So now, if I pass here 2 parameters, which function will be executed? This add function will be executed. C and D, something is wrong. Missing two. बोल.
आम्ही तिथं सेल्फ तिथं A, B, C एकाच ह्याच्यामध्ये ऍड करू शकत नाही काय?
कुठं? See, your task is you have to take two numbers and add it and give. You have to take two numbers and you have to add it and give the output. Now, how will you take two numbers in single variable? How will you store two numbers in a single variable? You have to have two variables to store two different numbers. You are getting my point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Two numbers if I am passing, then you need two variables to store those. Required positional arguments C and D. Why is it doing like this? 1 minute, just 1 minute. Missing two required positional arguments C and D. So I'll just pass here 2, 2, right now. Okay. It should add and give me 8. Which function got executed is this one. Okay. Now let me pass 3 parameters. When I pass 3 parameters, right? Now what should happen is this function should be executed. So 2 or more functions which are having same name but differ in the number of parameters is called as method overloading. And this is an example for compile time polymorphism. Why compile time polymorphism? Because this object knows which function to call. It knows that this function to call, this function to call, this function to call. If that function only is not available in this class, then it will go and check for inherited class. It will go and check for its parent class. That time it will not know which function to be called until runtime. During runtime, it will understand which function to be called. That will come back to that. That is called as method overriding. For now, just understand method overloading. So let's run this guy. Missing one positional argument D. I think something is going wrong here. Method overloading. Okay. takes three positional arguments, but 4 were given. Add takes 3 positional arguments, but 4 were given. Add 2 comma 2, self a comma b, self a comma b comma c, self a comma b comma c comma d. I think I am doing something wrong. So which is it? Python polymorphism structure and function class C, class D, class B, class A, function self, class D, function something I am doing wrong, I feel just. Language. Okay. Return a plus b plus c plus d, return a plus b, return a plus b, correct, everything is correct. Why is it giving me error then? 2 comma missing one positional, okay, sorry. Okay, this is how it works. Okay, apart from outside class also, in class also it will work the same way itself, but without class also this polymorphism concept can be implemented. Okay, 2 or more functions which are same name but different number of parameters, which is called as method overriding. If I pass the number of parameters here, maybe 3, then this function will be executed. add takes two positional arguments, 3 were given. Why? Takes two. Morphism. Method, sorry. See here, something like this. Okay, same thing we have created. Let's see what the issue is. But something like this, two or more functions which are basically having same name but different number of parameters. That is called as method overloading. Okay, in class also same thing, and without class also you can do this same thing. A comma B, do whatever you want, and then do same thing. So however it will work for both the things. Below line, uncommenting the below line shows an error. Method 1 most efficient method. This will give the output 12, product 3 with 3 values, and product with 1, 2, 3. This will give the output of 17.5, float. That is fine, but what is the issue here? Okay, let's not waste time here. I'll just do one thing. I'll check what that problem is. This one, what is this going on? But what's important is, at least from theory perspective, try to understand what I am trying to tell you. Okay, that same functions which are basically differ in number of parameters, those will be called as that is nothing but this concept is basically called as method overriding. So how will you write code to implement method overriding? This is what we have written, right? This is actually the code that is responsible for method overriding. Okay, and I'll tell you the theory part of method overloading also, and this part whatever is there, right? This part I'll check tomorrow what the issue is and I will inform you. Okay, so but I hope you all understood what the concept of method overloading at least is. Okay, so I will do one thing, create one more class, let's say class A. Okay, and this has some function which is z, whatever names I am giving right now here, self. Okay, and then it will basically say print I am z. Okay, then there is one more class here, class B, which inherits A. Okay, which is inheriting A, and then I will say write the same class again z here, same class z here, and print I'll say z. Okay, print z from B class, z from A class. Okay, so let's do one thing. First of all, go and study a little bit of theory. Method overriding means what? Method overriding means, again, two or more functions which are having same name, okay, but the only difference is same name as well as they have same number of parameters, as well as same number of parameters, no change in parameters, two or more functions which are having same name, same number of parameters, but both functions are in different class. Both functions are in different class, and both classes and one class inherits each other. Okay, one class inherits the base class. Okay, very simple. In this question, what you saw, right? Both the functions were in same class. Both functions were in same class. So you might ask me a few questions. Just see here, both functions were there in same class itself. I'll just open this one. When we were trying to execute this one, right, class calculator we created, and we created all these functions, 2 or more functions which are having same name but differing in number of parameters, but these all functions were there in the same class, right? So this is actually called as method overloading. Method overloading. Okay, what is method overriding? Method overriding basically means that again same 2 or more functions but having same name, again same name, but also same number of parameters, no difference in number of parameters, same name but same number of parameters, but both functions are in different class and one class inherits the other class. Okay, that is called as method overriding. Let's see code program, what does it look like? See here, 2 classes are there. One class B is inheriting some class A, very simple. Okay, and both these functions that are available in 2 different classes. I told you, right, same parameters, same function name, but 2 different classes. See here, I have created a z function, whichever function it is, but concept is important to understand. 2 functions which are in different classes, same number of function name, same number of parameters, and these 2 classes should inherit each other. So obviously B is inheriting A, very simple. So they are following all those 2 conditions. First condition is it should inherit, B is inheriting A. Second condition is they are having same name, same parameters, as well as they are in different classes. This concept is actually called as method overriding. Okay, now question here is which function will be executed? This function will be executed or this function will be executed? Let's print and see. Let's create an object of B. So B is basically equals to B. This is how we create object of B. Let's call b.z. b.z, perfect, call. Which function will be executed? This function will be executed or this function will be executed? What do you all feel? Which function will be executed when I call b.z? Which function will be executed?
Class.
Which class? Class B or class A? Snail was saying something, I think there is network issue. Others, whoever are there, which function will be
B.
executed? B, class B. Okay, perfect. Let's try to check. Python oops.py and hit enter. Okay, Z from class B is getting executed. Completely right. It will because I told you, right, how the procedure will work. First of all, you created an object. As soon as you created an object, you call this function Z. So first of all, it will go and check in which object you have created. You have created an object of which class? B class. So it will go and check first of all Z function is available in B class or not. It will go and check here. It is available, so it will execute this one. What if Z function is not available in B class? What if Z function is not available in B class? It will go and check whether it is inheriting some parent class or what. It will go and check here whether it is inheriting some parent class. Now it will understand, yes, it is inheriting some parent class. Then it will go inside A class and it will check whether that function is available inside that class or not. If it is available, it will execute that function. Let's create a function maybe C self, maybe like print C from B class. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll remove this Z function. Now Z function is not available inside this class. Now which function will be executed? Still I am calling Z. Which function will be executed? I am calling b.z. Which function will be executed? Come on, first. Hello? Come on, fast. Which function will be executed now?
A.
A function will be executed. Very simple, because I'll tell you why it will execute like that. go here, let's take a new page, put this code here. See here what I told. First of all, it will go first of all here, create an object. Created an object. What is the object name? This is B, which is the object. Now what we are doing in next line, b dot z. So it is just saying that this object has one function which is basically z. We have to call that. So this object belongs to which class? It will understand from here which class it belongs to, B class. So it will go and search inside this B class whether there is a function z or what which you have called. It will go here, go to this line, not there, go to this line, not there, go to this line, not there, go to this line, not there. Front, no lines only are there. That means there is no z function here. No z function here. If no z function is there here, then what it will do? I have already told you. It will go and check whether it is inheriting some class or not. Go and check. It is whether B class is inheriting some base class. Oh, here it will understand that yes, man, B is inheriting some base class and the base class name is A. Let's go and check in A if that function z exists in A class or not. It will go here. It will come here, check A, z is there, not there, z is there, yes, z is there. Go and execute this one. First priority here, priority 1, priority 2. Okay, if the function z exists here, then it will execute this one only, it will not go and reach to this z. Will you agree? It will not execute both, it will execute only one z function. But which function will execute depends upon basically this scenario. If the function exists in this class itself, then it will execute this z itself. It will not go and check also here. But if the function does not exist in this class, then it will go and check whether which class it is inheriting. Go and check in that class. This concept where function name is same, see here, this also is function name is same, parameters is same, but these two functions belong to two different classes and one class is inheriting that class whose function names are same, right? These two classes are having same function names. So one class is inheriting the other class and having these parameters and all this kind of same is actually called as method overriding. This concept is called as method overriding. When this method overriding will be executed, it will be executed during runtime. Why it will be executed during runtime? See here, you call the function z, okay, you call this function z. During compile time, it will come and check in B class whether there is z. No, it's not there z. That means now during compile time, it will never understand which z function I have to call. It will never understand which z function I have to call. Why? Because the z function is not available only in B class. You have told that you have to basically execute some z function on the B object, but in B class there is no z function only. So during compile time, the compiler will never understand where that function is. Afterwards, during runtime it will understand, hey, this z function is there in inherited class, man. It is there in A class. During runtime it will understand that. During compile time it will never understand which function is it, which function I have to execute. It will not understand only. Why it will not understand? Because that function is not available only in this class. So it is not understanding which function to execute. So when it will understand which function to execute? During runtime. So during runtime it will go and check which is the inherited class, and in inherited class this function z is there or not. These all things it will go and check during runtime. So during runtime it will understand whether it is there or not. Is that clear or not? Is method overriding clear or not? Let's
Yes,
do a quick
clear.
revision. Quick revision, because very important topic from interview perspective. Lot many times it will be asked. What is, first of all, again you saw we are using inheritance in implementing this polymorphism. We were B class was inheriting A class, so we will use inheritance to implement all these concepts. Polymorphism, encapsulation, data abstraction, all these concepts inheritance will be used. Okay, what is polymorphism? Polymorphism is basically nothing but a concept of OOPS, or one of the four pillars of OOPS, which says that poly means many and morphism means forms. So which exists in many forms. Something that exists in many forms. For example, God. One God existing in many different forms, that is called as polymorphism. How polymorphism is implemented? In the sense, it is implemented with the help of method overloading and method overriding concept. So if someone asks you, they will not ask directly polymorphism also. Sometimes they may ask you what is method overloading also. Sometimes they may ask you what is method overriding also. That is also fine. But you should tell that method overloading and method overriding is a part of polymorphism. These concepts are used to implement polymorphism. Polymorphism is a general topic. How to implement polymorphism using coding, using method overloading and method overriding. Method overloading is an example for runtime polymorphism or compile time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism. What is the other name for compile time polymorphism? Static polymorphism. What is the
Static.
then example for runtime polymorphism? Method overriding is an example for runtime polymorphism. What is the other name for runtime polymorphism? Dynamic polymorphism is another name for runtime polymorphism. As simple as that. What is function overloading and function overriding? Same as method overloading and same as method overriding, because we know that function is also a method. Method is a function. We call method because a function that is created inside a class is called as method, or else it's a function itself. So this should be completely clear. What is compile time polymorphism? Compile time polymorphism is a type of polymorphism in which the compiler will understand which function has to be executed during compile time itself whenever we created an object. During runtime, it will never understand during compile time. Even after creating the object, it will not understand whether this because why this happens, you know, because during runtime it will never understand whether this object is this function, which function has to be executed. It will never understand. During compile time it will never understand. During runtime it will understand which object has to be executed, which function has to be executed. So it is called as runtime polymorphism. What is an example for runtime polymorphism? Method overriding is an example for runtime polymorphism. So I think I have already told in one class that objects are basically created in the heap memory, and the variables are created basically in the stack memory. So you know, when objects are created during runtime. So after creating the objects itself, it will go and check whether the function exists in inheritance or not, and all. Memory is allocated during compile time. But the real object what gets created, that object will be created during runtime itself. That is the reason why runtime polymorphism, method overriding is an example for runtime polymorphism. I hope this is clear and you have understood it. You will be able to answer these questions. Then what is method overloading and what is method overriding? Two or more functions which are basically having same name but differ in the number of parameters. That is called as method overloading. Both functions will be in same class itself. Both functions, all those two or more functions which I told you, right? Those all functions will be in same class. Example, you take calculator example, because that time I told you, right? Parameters will differ. That is an example. So sometimes what happens is two or more classes are there. For example, you can say that we can create an animal class. And what is method overriding? Method overriding is basically two or more functions which are having same name again, same number of parameters. What they are differing then? They are differing basically on those two functions are basically in different classes, and one class is inheriting the other class. I hope you got this point. Okay, and the simple example would be, let's create an animal class, and let's create an animal class a bark function, and let's create a child class which is dog. So if you call dog, if you call dog dot bark, if that bark function is available in dog class, then it will execute the dog class dog class bark function. But if dog class bark function is not available, then it will go and check whether that function exists in the inherited class or what, and yes, it exists, then it will go and execute that one. This is what is called as method overriding. I hope this is clear. Very important, again I am telling, in terms of interview perspective. So tomorrow, I think it took a lot of time. Tomorrow we will finish up with abstraction, very simple concepts, abstraction and this one, and then we will start with the projects. Is that clear? Is whatever
Yes.
was been told today is clear?
Yes.
Everything you all understood, you all will be able to answer? Prakash? Any doubts are there? I'll just check that.
No.
Yes, it's clear then.
Okay. So what that part which did not get executed, right? That I will check. What's the problem there? That's it. I think fine. Then thank you so much. If you have any doubts, you can ask or you can leave.